Welcome back, Sunday Society, to another episode of Taking Back Sunday.
Hello.
It is a beautiful fall day at the lake.
It is.
At the Crystal Lake.
We said we were going to try to get back here at least one more time.
Yep.
And here we are.
And here we are. And it's gorgeous. We are going to beat the rain. That is the goal.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to rain for a while.
I don't think so either. I think we're going to beat it. So
yes.
Today we're going to talk about they're kind of fun. They're also kind of depressing topics. If you dig
I think
deep,
it's fun.
Yours is fun. Mine, I took a survey and I got a little sad this morning. I was like,
I am anxious to hear what you figured out. I did take one too.
Was that a pun intended?
No.
Because anxious is an attachment style.
Yes.
So speaking of, we're going to talk about love languages and attachment styles today.
Yes.
We're going to talk about our own. We're going to talk about maybe how they affect us in our life. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's take back Sunday.
Okay, well, Bianca, I figured I would start by talking about the 5 love languages. And if you have been living under a rock,
Right.
There are 5 love languages, and you can find the book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, and read it and discover your own.
Okay, guys, you might be wondering why we are in the middle of this podcast or right at the very beginning, all looking different and in a different place. It's because we had some technical difficulties. So we are going to touch base with you guys on what I was saying, and then we'll get right back to your normal program.
Regularly scheduled programming.
So the Love Languages website that you can go to. Oh, this is Casey, by the way.
Sweet baby. Sweet baby Kate.
She wanted to be in here. The love language quiz that you can go to is 5lovelanguages.com, and the 5 is a number. So, if you want to check it out, figure out your love language, figure out your partner's love language.
Highly recommend.
The first love language that we're going to talk about is words of affirmation. So those words that really, make someone realize what you're thinking and what you're feeling about them. So you could say, I love you. You could say, I love that, I love the outfit you're wearing, or I love what you add to my day. I love when you get home and we get to spend time together. All those things.
Right. You're important to me. Things like that. I am a words of affirmation person.
I appreciate you.
I love that.
Yes.
Or I'm proud of you. Just positive words that make you feel better about yourself.
So, Bianca, I have a hot take question for you.
Okay.
What is more important, saying I love you, just saying I love you, or giving specific examples of how you love somebody?
Well, I think that it depends on the context. It depends on who you're talking to. Personally, I like the specifics. I like the details. I want you to tell me, don't just give me a general statement. I want to know, why.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my personality. But I also think it's fine to just say I love you. It just sometimes can become such a habit that it's just like saying hello, goodbye, please, thank you. Yeah. It just becomes more manners as opposed to meaningful.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I always try to say I love you with every message or every phone call. I always try to say I love you at the end.
Yep.
But I also try to tell people why I love them.
Yes. Well, our friend Neil, I'll tell him, I'll tell the room I love you, and they'll be like, see ya. That's how he says it back.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you say the
or
word
the Midwest,
the Midwest goodbye.
Yeah,
it's an hour.
That's an I love you. That's watch for deer.
Watch for deer. That is
a way to say I love you.
Any guesses on Casey's love language? Hold on. If we stop, let's.
She is a physical touch.
She is physical touch. So now we're going to jump right into ways that you can give words of affirmation.
Okay.
Take it away, Anna.
Make it a habit to give a genuine compliment every day. So instead of just being I like spending time with you, you could say, hey, when you woke up this morning and you smiled at me, it really set my day off to a good start. Just a very specific thing.
But easy.
Yes.
Especially if it's genuine.
Yes.
If it's not genuine, it will not be easy.
It will.
It has to be truthful. It can't be lying.
Record a voice message for your partner or friend to remind them how much they mean to you. So
I like that.
Yeah. My next kind of question on this words of affirmation is, how do you respond to compliments?
It is funny because they do make me uncomfortable, but I really deep down like them. Because it's like, if somebody were to, it's truly because I don't believe them. And that's a thing that I'd have to work on with myself. Like, I need to say more words of affirmation to myself.
So I think that's why some people feel awkward when they are given affirmations, is because it makes them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of reasons. Number one, some people don't like feeling like the focus is on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second part of it is that they don't believe those things, and it makes them feel like, what's your motive? Like, why are you saying these things?
Exactly.
And then also just not feeling like, not having like self-worth and feeling like you deserve that.
Yep. And it's definitely more that second one where I'm like, okay, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me I look pretty? That's weird. Why are you saying that to me?
Yeah.
Because I don't believe it. So obviously it can't be true.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
So our second love language is acts of service. This is my favorite. So it is doing things your partner would like, such as chores or helping out. So it is, thinking about making your partner's day easier. What can I do to help take the load off of them a little bit?
Without them having to ask. Yes. Like, let's make that very clear. Yes. If we don't have to ask you and we come home and the dishes are done, or the laundry's been folded and put away, or the floors have been vacuumed, it does a lot for some people.
So, hot take, because every one of these I made a hot take for. Can a person really show love if they're only doing chores?
Well, I think that goes to intent. Like, are you doing it as an intention that it's just chores? Or are you doing it with the intention to help?
Yeah.
Like somebody. Like, I'm doing this because we have to get it done, versus I'm doing this because I want to help my partner.
I'm just saying that the person that I am in a marriage with or a relationship with, not talking about my actual, but like in a hypothetical.
Oh, okay. I was like, you could just say your husband.
No, if you are going about your day thinking about, in what ways can I make her day better and make her load a little lighter? Mm-hmm. I'm going to feel the love.
Yeah,
I'm going to feel the love.
When that's given, then your partner feels loved, and they will then give to you. But I don't think it should be the only
thing.
No.
Acts of service can't be the only thing.
Well, and acts of service, I don't think have to necessarily be chores.
Yeah.
They could be anything.
Yeah, they could be anything.
There's a lot of services.
So some ideas for acts of service would be to surprise someone by taking care of a task that they've been dreading. Mm-hmm. Make like breakfast in bed.
See, and that's not a chore to me.
Or prep their coffee in the mornings.
Yeah.
That's a super sweet one. Offer to run errands without being asked. Yeah. That is oh, I've got to go pick up the groceries and I've got to do this, and be like, and you're just like heading out the door, gonna go pick up the groceries for you. Don't worry about that.
I saw that you put in a Walmart order that's going to be ready at 7. I'm on my way to go get it now.
Yes, I will tell you that when Zach does acts of service, he is the sexiest in those moments. Like
with the backwards hat.
With the backwards hat. Whoo, hello, Daddy.
I love it here.
The third love language is receiving gifts. Okay, so this is feeling loved when giving thoughtful presents, big or small. So, hot take question. Are lavish gifts necessary to prove love, or do simple gestures matter more?
As somebody who so I receive with words of affirmation and I give with gifts or gift giving. And it does not have to be lavish. It could be literally you went to the gas station and you're like, I'm going to grab you your favorite candy or your favorite soda or it could be anything. Or, hey, I found this leaf on the ground and it's pretty like you. You know, like it's the intent behind it.
Yes. So I also, like, probably a hot take, I don't keep cards. So like if you write me a card, it either has to have a special message in it, or it needs to be a homemade card that like you took your time to make. Because if it is a card that just says your name on there,
I am not giving you cards anymore.
They get thrown out. I might keep them a day or two and then they're thrown out. So
I get it really, though. I get why.
Number one, it comes down to I am not a hoarder at all. So I will throw away things that I should not be throwing away.
What's the opposite of a hoarder, do you think?
I don't know, but I am it.
I know. We need to come up with a term for that.
But yeah, so like
a minimalist.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I'm a minimalist. But if I don't feel like it is a heartfelt and that the intention behind it could be a heartfelt, but if it is not something that I like, I want to keep this because I want to go back and read this again.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it away.
I still have cards that I got for my graduation party from high school.
Yeah, no.
They're in like a keepsake box.
I
am a hoarder.
I do have cards from like when Corbin and Brenly were born and like their baby showers and things like that.
Well, those are important. They symbolize, and see, that's like the graduation thing. Like they symbolize a moment in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have birthday cards from every single year. I do have some, depending, because my grandma made a comment. She's like, each year I pick out a card that is very specific to each of you. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel.
And if I'm buying you a card, I probably at the last minute on the way to whatever grabbed a card and put my name on it.
We are not the same. I will sit in that card aisle and read through 50 cards and just try to pick one that I'm like, this is the one. Not for you anymore. You're getting just a piece of cardboard paper. Here you go. Merry Christmas.
You don't even have to give me a card. Okay, so some ideas for gift or receiving gifts is keep a list of things they mention. Bianca is very good at this. She has like a note in her phone and then surprise them. DIY gifts with a personal touch, like a scrapbook or a homemade card. These are homemade cards.
Yes.
For friends or family, bring a souvenir back from a trip unexpectedly. Oh, I went somewhere. I'm just gonna,
I love.
So yeah, and
you
then
go somewhere. I want a little snow globe. Love it.
Yeah.
Please bring me a snow globe.
What's the most meaningful gift you've ever received?
Meaningful?
Mm-hmm.
There actually was a Christmas. It was probably 2017 or 2018. So my Oma, we're German, purebred. Like I've been there. We visited a castle. My grandpa had this like a statue of it. It's like a figure. It's not a figurine, but it's like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a decoration piece, but it's pretty big. It's, it's probably about the size of this paper, pretty tall, like a realistic life model of this castle. And it was in his room for a long, long, long time. And he passed back in 2000. Well, a couple Christmases ago, she gave that to me as a Christmas present and was like, I know you enjoyed, being there. I know you had a good relationship with him. I know you admired this. So it did mean a lot. And then
that I would have cried.
I did. And then last year, my dad got me a framed photo of Roscoe they found his collar when he lived with them. And they like manufactured like a way to put like his tags at the top of it. So that meant a lot too.
That's very sweet. Very, very sweet.
Yeah. And a vacuum. Just kidding. What about you though?
I feel like I have a lot of people that give me really meaningful gifts. So I have a hard time even starting. Like Zach has got this beautiful canvas printed for me where it was like, like the Google Maps of like where we met, where we got engaged and where we got married. That was super special. Zach and Neil made, I wanted a farmhouse kitchen table, and I am one of those that I don't want to spend the kind of money that people want for those things.
There's
it's
so
like
much.
I'm like, why anyway? They built me a huge table, and they had my Aunt Tracy like write on it, and it has the letter B for Brown, and then it says like something about family gather or something like that. Anyway, it meant a lot to me. And that table gets used all the time for all the events that we have at the house. So
that was a fun secret to keep. Like keep Hannah out of the garage. Like, why are Zach and Neil in the garage all hours of the night? Don't worry about it.
But yeah, I've had a lot of meaningful gifts. My mom got me, my mom tries to like do like fun things that we do. Experience. I
think that's where you get it actually, because she does enjoy taking you like on girls trips, like granddaughter trips, niece trips. I think that's where you get that love for experiences.
Probably. The next love language is quality time. And this is giving someone your undivided attention without distractions. Does quality time have to mean planned outings, or can do nothing together still count?
What do you think? I'll let you answer that one first.
I think that doing nothing together, but like still being like where your feet are and present
100%
can
present.
totally be quality time.
I agree. I don't think that it has to be anything extravagant.
Mm-mm.
Because like I feel like all of these go back to intent. And
yes,
it's
I agree with that.
I am intentionally choosing this time with you. I am putting everything else away because you are my priority right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, some people, every relationship is different, right? So some people might even enjoy sitting on the couch together, scrolling through Facebook.
Yeah, Zach and I
independently.
will sometimes watch videos on TikTok before bed, and like one of us will lay on the other and we'll just watch each other's phone, you know?
And it is whatever works for you. And I love that.
Yes,
I
me
love
too.
that. I do think quality time is an important one that
Yeah.
gets overlooked a lot because everyone is so busy all the time. And I think that you can plan big extravagant dates and go on them and it's not quality time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're not in it. You're doing it just to
Exactly.
check a box. Like, okay, she wants to go on a date. Okay, we'll go to the movies or
Yeah,
we'll do this. And it's not meaningful.
exactly.
And you could tell when it's forced.
So some tips for quality time is having a tech-free dinner with phones are, off limits.
Mm-hmm.
Planning a date or taking a spontaneous day trip, which I love that idea. Listening, while somebody shares their day, asking follow-up questions, and then like just really being engaged in what they have to say.
Listening with the intent to understand instead of just reply.
Yes. I feel like we as a society do a lot of listen to reply. Like, what am I going to say next?
Yep.
And instead of just like listening. And sometimes I get so good at like listening to like what someone's saying that I don't even think of a reply. And they'll be like, so what do you think? And I'll be like,
great question.
With your gifts that you were just talking about, I was like really listening and really like, thinking about how meaningful that would be. And then you're like, what about you? And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get it. And you get really reflective and my mind will just like, paint tapestries. And I'm just like, oh, keep talking.
Yes.
And then don't talk to me. I don't want to talk.
I have a would you rather. Would you rather spend a week camping in nature with your loved one or a luxury hotel getaway?
A luxury hotel getaway. Like, as much as I like camping, I'm a glamper. Like, I need a camper. I don't want to be in the woods peeing in a hole in the ground.
If it's like a cabin in the woods or in the mountains, better bet. That's my go-to.
Immediately to like a tent in the wilderness with nothing to like.
Yeah, no.
No
I just
indoor
think like being
plumbing
in nature. I love the mountains. I love the beach. I love both, but the mountains for me, it just feels like my soul just feels at peace there.
Yeah.
So I would probably go with being in nature.
Well, now I feel materialistic. I just want, if it's a camper or a cabin, of course I'm going in the woods. But if it's like in a tent, that does not sound romantic to me.
Tents are no go. Too many bugs.
That just doesn't sound very fun.
Our last love language is physical touch. And this one is expressing love through physical affection, like hugs, kisses, and holding hands, or other things.
If you know, you know. Is PG up in here.
Why is physical touch so taboo for some people, even in romantic relationships?
I don't know. It goes to like the PDA, like when some people are like, you can't touch me in public. Like, we can't hold hands. I don't want you to put your arm around me. You can't kiss me in public, which I understand to like a certain extent. Like, you shouldn't be being a little too much with that.
What's a little too much?
I'm talking about like groping, like with your grown-up parts. Like, you shouldn't be doing all that in public. And like, I don't want to see tongues on tongues in public. But like,
tongues on tongues, don't even care. Whatever. Like, let your love shine. The groping, I would be like, oh,
maybe go get a room. Like, if it has,
Because I will walk up to somebody and, I will walk up to my husband in front of somebody and give a kiss with tongue, and it wouldn't bother me at all. But the groping is a little different because you're like, that's like, we're getting into third base.
I think second base is probably my limit in public. Even actually, first base is probably my limit in public because we're just different. We just have different different boundaries.
Yes. So some ideas for physical touch is giving your partner a massage after a long day, holding hands while walking, even if it's a short distance, like even inside the store. Zach and I will do that sometimes. So or in the car, reach over and hold hands. Cuddle while watching a movie. Give a
we
big
know what that is. Netflix and chill.
give a warm hug that lingers.
Ooh.
That lingers.
Lingering.
And then obviously, mommy daddy time.
Adult time. I actually dated somebody that when we would be at dinner, put your hand out.
Okay.
He would just sit here and hold my hand while we were sitting there. And I really enjoyed that. Felt very intimate with you.
Yeah.
But I liked that. And I never was a physical touch person until I got into something serious. And I was like, no, I really enjoy that because it just, I don't know, you just feel close to them.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. Like, I don't need the big affection. I need the little a, lowercase a affection. I don't need the capital A in public. I need it in private. But, but yeah, just things like that. Or like sitting right next to somebody and like putting your hand on their leg.
Yes.
Like I think that's just.
It's like if I'm having a conversation with somebody else, but you're sitting here and I touch you, it's like I'm acknowledging that you are here.
Yes.
And I know you're here. And that to me is like, whew, okay.
Yep. Yep. Or like, I know that whenever there's been a moment where there's a lot of sadness, or like you can tell that the other person is feeling something, and you just reach out and like hold their hand like that.
Yeah.
It's comfort. It's just comfort and security. And I think that that's why people enjoy it so much.
So out of all of these 5, which is your top number 1?
Like for
that
I want to get,
that you need. It's not really what you want, it's what you need.
Well, yeah. But so the receiving.
Yeah.
Probably words of affirmation. I feel like I need a lot of reassurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And validation.
Mine is acts of service, obviously, and we've talked about it, but mine's acts of service. And honestly, I like doing acts of service for other people as well. Zach is a physical touch, and mostly physical touch. And then also he is not really receiving gifts, but I would say words of affirmation.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that he'd enjoy like receiving
those
compliments and things?
Those 2 things for him for sure. Compliments are nice, but I don't feel like they're necessary for me. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's so interesting how people
quality time
have different
would be one for me.
Like quality time would be second for me too.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me that how different people just have different love languages. Like, and it's just like you and I have 2 totally different receiving love languages. And I think it's
even though we are very much alike.
We just have very different needs. And I think it comes from our experiences in life. It comes from our upbringing. It comes from our attachment styles, you know, which we'll talk a little bit about. It's just finding, and I feel like you really have to take the time to learn who your person is and who your people are to be able to honor that and to love your friends and love your people well. You have to understand how they feel that love.
Yes, I agree.
You could be your your love language, like how you show could be words of affirmation, but their receiving is physical touch. They don't line up.
Well, and if you've ever gotten the ick from somebody, a million times is because they are trying to give you something in the way that you don't want it. It gives you the ick.
Yeah. And in the beginning for me, physical touch is an ick. Love languages develop, I think we talked about with our upbringings, they develop with our relationships that we have with people. We learn a little bit more about what we like, what we don't like. And I think they also stem from attachment styles, which are things that kind of form when we're still babies, which is wild to me. There's this whole theory called attachment theory, which is so creative, such a creative name. And it tells us that emotional attachments we form with our primary caregivers in our infancy, in our babiness, can influence our interpersonal relationships later in life. So how we are cared for as babies affects how we form relationships, which is insane. So
I mean, it makes sense though, because that's where our physical body gets to if we cry, is somebody coming to take care of us? You know, if we go to fall, is somebody reaching out to catch us? I mean, it makes sense.
It really does. It's crazy how deeply that can affect us though in childhood.
I also want to say, in my past working with foster care kids, I did learn that the younger you are doesn't make it better, because it's sometimes things that they don't even then
It's the
understand of
subconscious.
why it affects them.
I learned that.
Trauma.
Yep, your trauma, it embeds itself in your brain,
And it
it
literally
comes out.
your brain will function differently and grow differently with trauma.
Exactly. And when you get into those fight or flight situations where you're in that low brain, you revert back to those survival
times,
skills that were developed in those times where your needs were not being met, which is, it's crazy. So like, for example, primary caregiver, which is often a parent, dropped you off with a babysitter or a caregiver. Think about, obviously we're not going to know, but like, you think about how those kids react. Are they scared? Are they sad? Or are they okay because they knew that you'd be back? So is it that anxious attachment, or is it a secure attachment, or insecure versus secure?
Yeah.
And then how did you react when your parents came to get you? Were you like, whatever? Were you relieved? Were you upset? Like,
have you ever seen the little videos with the kids who get picked up from daycare, and they'll be sitting there at the table looking all sad, and then they'll see their parent and they come running and they're like crying, and it like breaks my heart.
That's probably because they have one of these attachment styles.
They're like, I thought you were never coming back.
Right. Yeah. So that's that separation anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have kids, but I have dogs. And I did read that dogs, if they aren't sure if you're coming back, that's when they get really anxious when you leave. Aww. Because they don't know. They don't know if you're going to come back or not.
Teddy thinks that I'm never coming back every time.
And it's crazy.
Anxious.
It's crazy though, because we come back every time.
Yes.
She needs some Lexapro. Some puppy Zoloft or something. So there are 4 different attachment styles. Mm-hmm. There's secure, which is a healthy attachment style. You have a positive view of yourself and others, and relationships. People with this attachment style are comfortable with intimacy, but not codependent.
Okay.
You're secure. Very secure. And then there's anxious. So people with anxious attachment style may have difficulty feeling secure in relationships. As children, they may cling to caregivers or become inconsolable when a caregiver leaves. Then we have avoidant. These are people who may be emotionally distant and reluctant to depend on others. I'm going to be sexist, but I feel like a lot of men are avoidant.
I mean, I could see where that would, their need and place in society would make them almost avoidant.
Yes, yeah, because of what's been pushed upon them. I guess that's a whole other subject. We talk about gender roles. This style develops when a child experiences inconsistent or unresponsive care from their caregivers. So that's why, for me, boys are always told, like, don't cry. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not supposed to cry. You need to toughen up. I feel like that is just not getting what you need. You're not being cared for. And then there's disorganized, which is less common. It's a subtype of insecure. It's characterized by mixed feelings of approach and avoidance towards your partner. This can lead to feelings of confusion, fear, and anxiety.
I would feel
real consistency,
right? I want you, no, I don't. I want you, no, I'd be like, whoa.
It's like the Katy Perry song, you're hot, then you're cold.
I would be like, I don't know where we stand.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
I feel like that would be a really difficult person to be in a relationship with.
For sure. So if you had a caregiver who was attentive and reliable, you're more likely to have secure, stable relationships as an adult. But on the other hand, shining golden child over here. But if your caregiver wasn't attentive or consistent, you're more likely to have difficulties in your adult relationships.
Which, makes sense.
It does. It does. It's sad, but it does. These attachments are pretty much determined with your relationship with your caregiver in your first 18 months of life. But past romantic relationships and friendships can always affect how we react to like emotional cues. So if you had secure attachment as a child, and then you have like a betrayal or a very negative experience as an adult, you can then experience a shift in your attachment. You could then become an insecure attachment.
Question.
What's up?
Can it go the opposite way?
Oh, yeah.
So you had like a really rough childhood, and then you have somebody that comes in your life that shows like kind of mirrors what you should have in a relationship, and what that does look like can then help you to maybe not be.
We're going to talk a smidgen, not a whole lot about that, but yes, we are going to talk about that. because I think that it is important to know, like, you, just because you grew up a certain way, you have the power to choose better for your future, for your kids. There's just a level of self-awareness that has to come into that, a level of therapy that has to come into that. Like, you have to put in work to do it.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be like, oh, I'm with this perfect man now, my whole life's better. You know, there's going to be, you know, if you are an insecure attachment and he is secure, that man's going to have to be patient.
Yeah.
So similarly, you can also have different attachments with different people. So like, you could have a secure attachment in your marriage, but an insecure attachment with, like, maybe your family or a friend.
Okay.
There's not like one size fits all. It's not
That
the
makes
same for
sense.
everybody. Yeah. So there are definitely relationships that I feel more secure in than others.
Yeah.
And it's just, it is what it is. So I did take a quiz to find out what my attachment style was, and I am preoccupied, which is an anxious attachment style. So it came up 41.5% preoccupied, 36.6 fearful. So those are my top two. Dismissive is 12.2, secure is 9. 9.8% secure. I'm such a secure girly. I'm living my best life.
So what does that mean for you?
So for my primary preoccupied, these are like the key points. Emotional intensity. So relationships are marked by intense emotions and fluctuating levels of closeness. Fear of abandonment. They have a deep-seated fear of rejection and abandonment, which I recognize in myself. And then need for reassurance, which is so funny because that is my love language. I need those words of affirmation because I'm constantly needing that reassurance. Individuals with this attachment style seek constant validation and affirmation from their partners and friends. And then the secondary, my fearful attachment, there's trust issues. So I have difficulty trusting others and fearing emotional harm. So I don't open up to a lot of people. Internal conflict. So I have tension between my need for closeness and fear of vulnerability.
And that makes sense.
And then unpredictable behavior. So oscillation between intense connection and emotional withdrawal. So that feels very disorganized.
Very makes a lot of sense.
I know. I
like, not with me, not our relationship.
No, I feel we're very secure.
Watching you try to date, that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And it's
wow.
Just you wait. There's so much more. So the anxious preoccupied attachment style is characterized by a heightened need for reassurance and a fear of rejection, and it shapes how I approach and experience relationships. Attachment style, this often develops, like we said, from inconsistent or unpredictable caregiving during early developmental stages, leading individuals to develop a hyper-awareness of their partner's availability and a persistent worry about the stability of their relationship. So you're constantly like preoccupied with, is this okay? And it's like
worrying more than being in the moment.
Exactly. And it's wondering, do you really love me? We talked about this with the love language. Like, if you say just, I love you, or you look nice. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because I'm just constantly, I just don't believe it. And it's sad. Again, primary feature is that fear of abandonment. I'm just afraid that if I am my truest form of who I am, that people are going to leave. And I know that about myself. And I just am in a position where I don't know how to fix that. Therapy.
I want to say, not knowing that really was, because I didn't really know much about attachment styles. Like, I learned about it in college or whatever, but like, it's been a long time. And not knowing that is like the words to put with what you are, but like being able to see that we're real here. We're very real.
My feelings are about to get hurt.
No, they're not. So a situation recently just happened where I was off, and Bianca like sent me a message afterwards, like, I don't know what I did, but I upset you. And I was like, immediately knew that she needed me to make sure that she knew it really wasn't her. Like, it was a me issue and it wasn't a you issue, because I knew you were sitting there beating yourself up thinking about, like, what did I do and what did I say wrong and all of these things, when really it was I should have used my words and been like, I'm tired, I need to go to bed, I need to stop peopling for today. And instead of doing that, I was just like, I'm just gonna stay quiet and be in this weird funk. And like, I knew that you needed that.
Yeah.
I don't need that as much, but I knew you needed that. Like, I know that I'm like, I wasn't the problem. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what your problem is, but it wasn't me. Like,
I always assume that I am the problem.
yeah. And I just think that, like, when you love somebody and you know that that is how they are, like, you have to. And sometimes I'm like, with you especially, I'm like, do I like sugarcoat or protect or like push my feelings aside more because I know that's what you need? But at the end of the day, whatever works for us, I always am trying to be like, I have to protect her. I have to protect her heart because I know that it's like, it's sensitive, even though you're so tough and like strong and independent and like you will hang things and fix things around your house and you're like, we don't need a man. At the end of the day, like, your heart needs protecting. And so like tender, I always want to, like, when I realize, I'm like, oh, I made her feel away, like, I got to come back and be like, hey, this wasn't you, like, this was me. And I just feel like when you know that about somebody, you need to like care for the people that you love.
Honor. Acknowledge it. Because, and that's, I do think that there's a line, there's a balance where you're not enabling like a behavior versus like caring for your friend well. I think that there is a balance because
I don't think we enable each other.
I don't think so either. I think
we're very
if anything,
real.
We do keep it very straightforward with one another.
But like, I think even though you can be real and you can be straightforward, like there might be times where that's not appropriate. And in that moment, I just thought that what I need to do right now is like let her know, hey, this isn't you. Like, please do not feel a certain way. Like, this is not you. This was a me issue. And you know, it's not always that way. Sometimes I'll be like, Bianca, you're a little much, or you're a little harsh, or whatever. You're being a little judgy. Like, be nice, or whatever. No, but like,
there's definitely one person in my life that you're like, maybe you need to tone it down a little bit, be a little nicer, and.
But I also, on the opposite side of that, I also understand why you aren't and why you are harsher, and you aren't, because you would never be harsh like that with me. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
no, I know.
You know, we all need grace.
Yeah. I was reading through this. There's one word that like people are like, what are your pet peeves? And I hate the word sure.
Oh, and shoot. I said that.
I know, but I know you. But I know you.
I did it with like a heart face.
You sent an emoji because it's so uncertain for me. It's so like, I don't know what it means. Are you saying,
I'm like, sure.
I know. And that's typically every person that I've had this discussion with. They're like, it's a positive connotated word. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think that if you meant yes, you would say yes. Sure means I guess so. Like, I don't really want to, or I don't really care. I want you to care, and I want you to be sure of yourself, but using the word sure for me is like, ugh, whatever.
I've tried to do better with K.
Yeah, you don't send that anymore.
You guys were so upset for the longest time. I'm like, I just mean like, okay.
No. K is like universal F you.
K.
I could ask these children back here. If somebody were to reply to you and say K, you'd be upset because you know that is pointed.
K is hateful, like short to... See, and I'm like, K, okay. You know?
Even an okay instead of OKAY. I'm like, abbreviated. Well, then whatever.
That's
with a period on the end. Okay, period. If I send you okay, period, you're done. You are dead to me. Just kidding. But so, yes, our attachment styles drastically affect how we interpret things and how we build those relationships with people. So there's different categories of those adult relationships, and I looked at like how this would impact like my love life, my friendships, my work, my family. You want to know what the first one is in all of these categories?
What?
Constant need for reassurance. Second, fear of abandonment that drives need for frequent affirmations. I am and I've said this, I am an insecure person, and I hate that about myself, but it's like, I don't know what to do to make it better. Like, I just don't know. But that's basically, that's the way that it affects all of them, is that I just need a constant reassurance, and it can lead to potential clinginess. But like, I don't ever feel like I've been clingy in my friendships. Am I clingy?
No, but
I am at your house every single day. Is that clingy?
I enjoy it. I could see where, like, if you were dating somebody that didn't know that that's what you needed, that might come across clingy.
Yeah. And what's funny,
like, whoa, this is a lot all at once, or at the beginning. You know, I don't know.
And maybe that is why I front load a lot of like my expectations. I don't know, but my last relationship that was serious, he wanted to be close, and I didn't. I was very cold. I think at that point though, I still had a lot of walls up. So I would keep a distance. And I remember in the very beginning, I was making something in the kitchen and I was at the stove and he was like right next to me. And then I went over to the sink and he walked over next to me with the sink. And I was like, brother, I need some space. But then I built that boundary for myself, and then like a year in, I'm like, you don't love me. You're never around me anymore. He's like, he was like, you told me to stop following you around, you know. So it's like, I think that is the disorganized. Like,
Yeah.
I'm hot and I'm cold. I want it. I don't want it. I want it on my terms. I don't. I've grown a lot since then. This was like 2017. So I've put in 7 years of hard reflection and life work.
Yeah.
And that's where I am. So the question that you asked earlier is, can we change our attachment style? And of course you can, but it does require self-awareness.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge, I'm an insecure attachment person. You know, I need this. And once you recognize like your tendencies, existing patterns, you can, you know, flip it. You can adjust. You can flip the script. You have to reframe old thoughts that come and develop, you know, and transition from that insecure to a secure attachment style.
I feel like you need like a very emotionally mature man that knows about it, and that when you start to feel that way, he can just be like, hey,
and
I'm here, I like you, I'll go in the other room if you want me to, but I want to be here with you.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
And you took the attachment style quiz.
I did.
What did it say?
So it said that I am the secure attachment. So, you know, that being able to navigate vulnerability, and then having that emotional intimacy and fostering a deep connection with mutual understanding. It says that roughly 50% of the population have secure attachment style.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I love to hear that. Go population. Go you.
You find it easy and comfortable to be intimate, close relationships, prioritize emotional safety, trust, and open communication. I was like 25% avoidant attached, and then 25% of the anxious.
Oh, okay.
So I am an anxious person, and I kind of do get in my head. Like somebody could say something to me, and like I can have an interaction with somebody, and then like a day or two later, I'll be like still thinking about like
what you said, or like how you said it, or their face when you said it.
Or if I think that I've done something that hurt somebody or upset somebody, sometimes I remember as a kid, like when I thought my mom was mad at me, it felt like my entire world was ending.
Yeah.
Because I cared so much of that like person. But even though I'm a secure attachment, I do have like traits of
anxious tendencies,
and then also being not as like independent. I can be kind of codependent, and I know that within myself. Like there are times where I want to be by myself, and then there's a lot of times where I'm like, I want someone around me. I don't want to be by myself. Yeah. So I know that about myself.
Yeah. It's funny that like you say that about, you know, when your mom would get mad at you when you were a kid, because the opposite would happen for me. I was like, whatever, I will burn this place to the ground. I was very much a Brinley. Brinley and I are very similar, where when we're pushed, we don't cry and get upset. We get mad.
Yeah, Corbin is much more like me.
He is.
Even if he acts mad in the moment, he like really is sad that he feels like he upset you or
really
whatever.
Wants to, he is a people pleaser. He wants to make he cares about his relationships.
And so
with
am
his
I.
family.
I've gotten better as I've gotten older. I don't care about people pleasing as much.
Even in the last couple years with your sober journey, you've really kind of put yourself first instead of, okay, how am I going to look to this person? Or I can't say no. You've gotten better at saying no.
Yeah, I try. It's really hard for me. I just know that if I tell you no, I really want to say yes.
She has thought about this for a year.
But there's a part of my body that's like, you cannot keep doing this to yourself.
Yeah, because you're going to just completely zap your tank.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this episode because I love talking about love languages and attachment and learning, because you get to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
And I just think if we can help other people learn about themselves and build their relationships in a stronger, healthier way, then we're doing it.
Just remember, you can go do both those. The one that I went to, was it like
Bloom?
No, that's the one that tried to charge me, and I was like, not today, Satan.
I paid a whole $1.95 for my
called
results.
Siphona Ray.
Okay. We can post it too.
Yeah, and it was free. It's
good.
And it had like 38 questions, and anyway, it was free. But it doesn't email you. So like I just screenshot it because it didn't email you.
Yeah. I had to do a lot of copying and pasting.
And I was like, oh dang it. So I just screenshotted it. But
yeah.
I really like being able to look at the way that we interact with all kinds of different people in our lives and like how that from our childhood affects us.
Yeah. I feel like that should be like an attachment survey or your attachment style should be something you have to learn going into the workforce also.
Oh, I do too.
Because you are like, especially if you're a supervisor, you need to know, like, are you dealing with an anxious person who's going to be up your butt the whole time? Like, did I do this right? Or am I doing this right? Hey, Hannah, I need to know if I can push this button for this thing. And like, can I submit this paper? And you're going to have avoidant people who are like, I have made her mad. I'm not going to even look at her. I'm going to stay in my office. I'm not going to talk to her.
Yeah.
And people like me would interpret that as disrespect. Like, you messed up and now you're not even going to come face me? How dare you? Wherever they're like, she hates me so much. You know, it's just, I think that's important in the workplace because you spend the majority of your time with people at work. So you need to, you know, learn how they receive praise. You need to learn how they receive criticism. How are they attached? You know, and then my company asked me, side note, everybody, I got a new job. As a director of sales at a senior living community. And I'm so excited.
I'm excited for her.
It's going to be a very good opportunity. It's a solid raise, which in this economy, I'm going to brag about it. In this economy. And you know, I've been dropping that community. It's close to the neighborhood where Patrick Mahomes lives.
What is it called?
Loch Lloyd, which I'd never heard of it. And somebody said it in a text and I was like, did you just have a typo? Like, are we talking about the Loch Ness Monster? I don't know what's going on. So I got that new job. And that was something during the interview process that they kind of asked me, you know, and in like, I did like a personality survey or like a questionnaire and they say, how do you receive feedback? Like, how do you best feel supported? They want to know. And I'm like, I like that because they care enough to acknowledge me in a way that it's going to be well received.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's important to do. So yay.
So what do we have coming up?
Happiness. Love.
Super excited.
Love and happiness. Yeah. That's our theme for November, guys, is love and happiness. Or no, we're in December. This is December.
Yeah.
Oh, I wore my Christmas earrings this week.
Love them.
I'm going to wear a different one for the next episode.
Did not even put earrings in. But
this is one of my favorite things I did this all the time in high school and then stopped when I taught because I got really depressed. And now it's something that's like come back into my life.
I love it. I love always seeing what earrings you have on.
Stay tuned because I'm going to have some cute. Brindley would be so mad. But we will see you next week.
Yes.
And take care of yourselves. Take care of others. I'm Bianca.
I'm Hannah.
And we are Taking Back Sunday. All right. That was good.
Hey, guys. Ick.
All right.
Okay.
We'll take you got some screenshots?
Oh, this is for my attachment.
Okay.
So
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was good. That was easy. It was light. We're recording a podcast. No, you're fine. You're just in the shot.
We didn't know how you would feel about that.
You're just
okay.
Like you're gonna be in our podcast. Okay. As long as you're fine with it.